My name is Adrian Hale, and for 4 years, my family pretended I didn't exist. No calls, no birthdays, no messages, not even when my mother had surgery. To them, I was already gone. And then one night, they walked into my restaurant, not knowing it was mine. Before I tell you what happened next, take a moment and comment your city below. I read every single one. And if you enjoy powerful stories about family betrayal, redemption, and quiet revenge, make sure you subscribe, because some stories prove that the people who erase you today might one day be forced to face you again. It was a rainy Friday evening when the reservation appeared on the host tablet. Table for 6. Last name? Hale. I didn't notice it at first. My restaurant was packed that night. The kitchen was moving at full speed. Pans clattered, orders were shouted across the line, steam fogged the windows. The smell of garlic, butter, and roasted meat filled the entire room. 4 years ago, I could barely afford instant noodles. Now I owned one of the busiest restaurants in the city. But success doesn't erase memory, especially when those memories involve the people who taught you what abandonment feels like. The host walked toward me quietly. "Adrian," she said, "there's a family asking for the owner." I frowned. That's unusual. They seem upset. I wiped my hands on a kitchen towel and stepped toward the dining room. The moment I saw them, my entire body froze. My father, my mother, my older sister, my uncle, 2 cousins, all sitting at the center table under the warm restaurant lights. The same people who hadn't spoken to me in 4 years. My father stood up immediately. He didn't recognize me at first. Why would he? The last time he saw me, I was 23, broken, living in my car. Now I wore a chef's jacket with my name embroidered across the chest. My beard was trimmed. My posture was different. Confidence changes the way people see you. He walked straight toward me. "Are you the owner?" he asked sharply. "Yes." "We need to talk." His voice had that same commanding tone I remembered from childhood, the tone that meant everyone else was supposed to listen. I glanced at the table. My mother avoided eye contact. My sister looked annoyed. My uncle whispered something under his breath. They still didn't recognize me. "Is there a problem with your meal?" I asked calmly. "There's a problem with the bill," my father snapped. I folded my arms. "What about it?" "It says $1,580. I nodded. "You ordered the tasting menu, wine pairing, and private dining service." He leaned closer. "That price is ridiculous." For a moment, I almost laughed, because this was exactly how my father always spoke, demanding, entitled, as if the world owed him something. Then he said something that made the room go quiet. "You should waive the charge." "Why?" "Because we're family." I stared at him. Family. The word echoed strangely in my head. 4 years of silence, and suddenly we were family again? I asked quietly, "How do you know the owner?" My father smirked. "My son." My chest tightened. The same son he had erased. "He owns restaurants," my father continued proudly, "successful ones." My sister rolled her eyes. "Dad, Adrian barely finished culinary school." My uncle laughed. "He probably works in a diner somewhere." I watched them for a moment, listening, observing, and then I asked the question I had waited 4 years to ask. "What happened to that son?" My father shrugged. "He made bad decisions." "What kind of decisions?" "He embarrassed the family." My mother finally spoke. "He chose strangers over us." The words hit harder than I expected, because the truth was very different. 4 years earlier, I had asked my father for help opening a small food truck, just $5,000, not a gift, a loan. He laughed in my face. Cooking is not a real career. When I tried anyway, he told the entire family I was irresponsible. Within months, they stopped answering my calls. Family gatherings happened without me. Birthdays passed, holidays passed. Silence replaced everything. But silence forces you to grow. I worked 3 jobs, washed dishes, cooked night shifts, saved every dollar. Slowly, painfully, I built something. First, a small food truck, then a tiny cafe, then investors appeared, and eventually this restaurant, now one of the highest-rated restaurants in the city. But none of them knew that, because they never cared enough to ask. Back in the dining room, my father slammed his hand on the table. "So are you going to remove the charge or not?" I looked at the receipt again, then back at him. "No." His face turned red. "You're going to regret that." My sister leaned forward. "Do you know who our family is?" "Yes." She pointed at me. "My father owns half the construction companies in this county." My uncle added proudly, "And our family name carries weight." I nodded slowly. "I'm sure it does." My father pulled out his phone. "I'll call my son," he said confidently. "He'll handle this." The room went silent. He dialed. My phone vibrated in my pocket. For a moment, no one moved. I slowly pulled it out. Answered. "Hello?" My father's face changed instantly, because he heard my voice, twice, once through the phone, once standing right in front of him. He looked from the phone to my jacket, the name embroidered across the chest, Adrian Hale. The realization spread across his face like a slow storm. "You," he whispered. My sister's eyes widened. My mother covered her mouth. My uncle stood up suddenly. "No way." I placed the phone on the table. "Yes," I said quietly. "I own the restaurant." The room felt smaller suddenly. My father sat down slowly. For the first time in my life, he looked unsure. "You never told us," my mother said softly. I met her eyes. "You never asked." No one spoke for several seconds. Finally, my father cleared his throat. "Well, that's impressive." The compliment sounded forced. Then he pushed the bill toward me again. "Since it's your place, you can remove the charge." I looked at the receipt, then back at him. "No." His expression hardened. "We're still your family." I leaned slightly closer. 4 years ago, I asked you for $5,000. He said nothing. "You told everyone I was a failure." Still silence. "You erased me." My voice stayed calm. "So tonight, you're customers." The restaurant around us continued buzzing. Other diners laughed, glasses clinked, life moved on. But at that table, everything had stopped. My father slowly reached for his wallet, and for the first time in my life, he paid the bill without arguing. They left quietly, no hugs, no apologies, just silence. But as the door closed behind them, I realized something important. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't anger. It's becoming so successful that the people who erased you have to ask for a table in your world. And if you were in my place, would you have waived the bill or charged them double? Tell me honestly in the comments. And don't forget to comment your city and subscribe for more powerful stories like this.